date is it?
Last I checked, it's November 2nd of 2014.
And it's November 2nd here too. And the year is... I don't think the year is 2004. This... My clock fucked up when I set the time last Sunday.
By 10 years?
It's a high-tech watch.
Oh, yeah, man. I suppose you probably have to tap 3 buttons. You have to, like, flick the screen, and you also have to recite the ABCs backwards to get it to actually change hours.
Yeah, kill a chicken, throw it over a fence, and read a section from the Bible or something. Not that high-tech. Anyway, we're live once again. Another bi-weekly update, and we're only 2 people this time.
Yes, it turns out that Marlink has a choir to go have to deal with for this whole next month. So we're going to be mostly playing this solo when it comes to mainstays, for the most part.
Silly Marlink, having a life and something to do on Sundays.
How silly.
Yeah.
So let's not make fun of that.
When he can sit in his bedroom and talk about video games and stuff. Oh, I envy the guy. Anyway. So we're only 2 people. Gonna make the discussions probably a bit shorter. So we might actually fall a bit short on the topics today, but don't worry, I have a backup.
Yes. The illustrious backup. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah, you know me running on sticks and duct tape to keep everything going. Anyway, what you been up to since last time we spoke?
Well, I think I did say that I bought Smash 4 last time.
Yeah,
but
it was like you bought it like a couple of hours before we did the last recording.
But, no, actually what I want to talk about is that I feel like this is going to be a trend that whenever I beat a game, it's going to be the I've finally beaten this game. Like, it takes me so much longer. But I beat Bowser's Inside Story like a few days ago.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you were talking about you were working on it.
Yeah, mostly the big... I feel like the experience kind of got soured by my last few play sessions of that game. Because it was spent primarily dealing with the post-game boss, Bowser X. Which requires you to, like... It requires you to grind up levels because it's harder than everything else in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And... or you just basically have to figure out the strategy you need in order to deal with all of his massive amounts of attacks. And the thing is that Mario and Luigi isn't very supportive of grinding, because every battle you basically have to give your full attention, so you can't mindlessly just sit there, mash the attack button, and take on like all this stuff at once. Yep. And so I started getting really bothered by it. By the time I actually did beat it, I didn't. I feel like it was a good game, and I enjoyed most of it. But there were like a few moments, and generally, I think like the most of what I played with the post game just soured what I felt about it in the end.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, if you're gonna grind, it is not something you really want to spend.
You don't want to remember every fight you grinded up for.
No, but I think it might speak of the post-game boss as a kind of attack on, more than it was supposed to be there all the time.
Yeah, basically, they're basically just retreads of previous bosses, but you never... The thing is, like, the Bowser boss in the main game isn't really something you pay too much attention to, or something you really have big problem with. It's this version that they basically is like, oh, you know, he had like 3 other attacks that you had no idea about. Here, I'm going to throw them all at you.
Ah, fun.
And all of them do 100 damage, and I have 300 HP.
Oh well. Myself, I've been doing a couple of things. Firstly, I've been playing around with my 3DS because I found some. They have an emulation of an old 80s synthesizer. Synthesizer workstation. I was really curious about how it worked, so I've been playing. I bought it like months ago, but I was finally starting to sit down and try to understand it, and it's a cool thing. Really cool thing. There is one thing I don't really feel it was so great with it, is that it can export MIDI files from what you work with, but it can't import MIDI files.
So it gives, but it doesn't take.
Yeah.
Right.
Which would have been awesome if I could do some stuff I can do with my computer a bit faster than with the small screen and everything on the 3DS. So that's one thing. Another thing is that I've been trying to complete Tomba again.
Oh, yeah, that... Huh.
That ended in pain and misery.
That is a very... I was going to talk about how it was a very rare instance of a 2D platformer during the PlayStation era, but then you brought out that's just that you were living in pain and misery playing that game. So that background might...
let me just explain what it is. My problem is, I am in the Windy Mountain section of the game, and I have this huge gap I'm trying to come over. The problem is I'm not good enough to actually make the jumps because I can't work with the wind.
You and about so many other people.
And what more? The usual dose of League of Legends, I would say. And oh yeah, how could I forget? We have the Halloween event on Team Fortress.
Oh right, there was that.
Yes. And do you know what I wouldn't say fools, but I can say if they're geniuses or morons. But do you know what they have managed to do?
What did they do?
Bumper cars. Killer bumper cars.
Oh, that's what... I thought you were going to be like, oh, we're riding around in bumper cars. But
Yeah,
no.
we are. And
Wait.
You're killing each other in bumper cars.
No, I think I've seen that before. Though I think that was like a modded thing. Like, I think you ran around in bumper cars and, like, you were all pyros and you air blasted this homing rocket. But it's probably not the same thing.
It's probably not the first time they've done something like that, but I can't think that it might be the first time Valve have done something
Yeah.
related to that, and the whole premise is just silly. But the problem is, in the Team Fortress universe, it works because everything runs on silly.
Yeah. To be fair, I've seen tons of mods, so eventually they were going to do something that a mod has done before.
Yeah, probably.
It's probably better than the mod, truth be told.
Yeah, because they actually know what they can. they can poke and can't poke.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have to poke it, they have the stuff to poke it with.
Right.
That's my way to describe programming in general terms.
Know what to poke and what not to poke.
Exactly. Yeah, that's that's what I've been doing game wise, and after that I've just been keeping track of stuff I've been interested in.
You know, I suppose if we're going to keep the floor a bit open, there is... my friend, like one of my roommates did recently beat The Witcher 2.
Ooh.
Yeah, he didn't have, he kind of came out of it with a sour experience, somewhat. It seemed like he liked most of what it offered, but I think what really hurt him in the end was the second to last boss fight against the fight was against the dragon. I'm going to try and keep spoilers to a minimum here, but the second to last boss fight is with a dragon.
Yeah.
But his problem with it was that he had literally no way to hit this enemy without getting hit himself, and every time he got hit, he got tons of damage taken off of him. And every time he hit the boss, it was like tiny bit of health. He was playing on normal during this boss, and it got so bad that he basically set it to easy, because at this point he was like, I just want to see the end of the story. I do not care I really do not care about doing whatever it takes to make this boss easier for myself. So pretty much by the end, he kind of just told me that he was having tons of problems with the combat and dealing with multiple groups of enemies and dying after every encounter or something like that, or dying at every encounter with 4 or more enemies. But he's generally kind of he's somewhat pessimistic sometimes. So, but that also means he tends to have opinions that on what's bad about games that I tend to agree with. So it's not like he'll still play games even if he says he has problems with them. I guess he's more of a realist than a pessimist.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's generally how he is.
Mm-hmm. He just he found them entertaining, but he will complain about the things he don't like with them.
Yeah, that's generally how. Because if he saw more bad than good, he wouldn't play them.
Yeah,
for the most part.
And that's pretty much that's the thought process you really need to have with most games. I mean, with I have these on-off relationships with roguelikes, Faster Than Light, and those kinds of games.
Oh yeah, I can understand how that might feel.
At Dwarf Fortress.
Yeah, eventually, you just kind of get to this point where you keep dying in the same stupid way. It's like, and it's like, you don't know what you could possibly do to stop this from happening.
Oh! I know how to stop it. It's just that it's not it's not one of those things that gonna work doing it.
And then there's that one time where you basically.
Hello. You cut off there for.
I think it's gonna be me cutting off, but I think that was weird.
Yeah.
But there it goes again.
I don't know.
And then there's that one time where you not to try and drag off, but there's that one time where you end up playing the game, and then it's like, here, have all these bad things.
Yeah. The problem is, at least with Dwarf Fortress, the bad things happens to you because you're a moron.
Oh yeah, dig too deep. Have your really stupid outward defense kill very important people.
Yeah, but on my end, it's more like how would I put this in a good way? If you want to fix a hole in your fortress, and the best way to do it is build a wall, but don't be a stupid head like me and try to fix said hole by mixing water and magma.
On the ground.
Oh, this was underground. I don't want that hole there. Hey, I have a magma pipe and a water channel beside each other. I see potential, and dear Lord, was I right on that? But not the potential. But it was potential, all right, but not the kind of potential I thought it would be. The thing was, you know how Dwarf Fortress looks when with the old
Yeah.
looking graphics. Yeah, I mixed. I made some channels when I meant to do tunnels, and the whole section below everything was kind of full of water, magma, and death for a couple of years. I sealed the hole and everything
You
else
sealed a
below
good
it.
amount of everything else.
Yeah, so that was an abandoned project.
Ouch. But I suppose that's one of the reasons why I never really find interest in roguelikes, because at the end of the day, it's just kind of like half of it is you learning about the game, but the other half is just kind of getting a good, like getting what you need in order to actually be able to do such a thing.
Yeah,
Because
but
it,
the most one of the cornerstones in roguelikes is take what you have and fly with it. If the universe only wants to give you a stick and a rock, you better use them well.
yeah. I guess it depends on how you look at it. I can only work with this thing, or I have to try or do this and see how far I can get with it. Situation.
Yeah.
And if
It's
you
like,
don't like one or the other, you're basically just kind of. It gets. I can see how that kind of be frustrating.
yeah, the thing is, I don't say you have to be fucked up in the head to like roguelikes, but I think it helps. Because it isn't. I don't think it's is attractive for a lot of people.
Roguelikes can roguelikes can be enjoyable as long as you I guess as long as you actually have something to gain even from like a lot. Well, it kind of sometimes depends on how you make the whole thing work altogether. Like Rogue Legacy makes it so that even if like every failure still builds on your next playthrough. So even if you're like even if you die, like some of the gold you use comes back to help you in that point. But there's also stuff like like Dwarf Fortress, where the most enjoyable thing to see is how you screw everything up.
Yeah, it's
And losing is more fun than winning.
yeah, because you're gonna see some serious shit on that thing.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I was gonna bring up something more with the roguelikes, but it kind of fell out from my head. I need to write these things down. I really do. I thought it was an interesting question to ask too.
Yeah.
Ah, god damn it. Oh well. Oh, I just realized it. I actually been playing one other game. I installed it last night, and it's mostly because I'm getting myself pumped for the next game in the series. Can you guess what it is?
I was gonna say something, but but when you said there's a sequel, now I'm just kind of left wondering.
Yeah, I've been playing some Far Cry 3.
Oh, um, I guess this is a bad time to kind of point out that this household kind of doesn't like that game.
Ah, do tell.
My side, that mostly just has to do. I didn't play it. The roommate, the realist roommate, played it.
Yeah.
And generally, I think my sister got started hating the game when he was playing through the whole, like for about 30 minutes straight, burning down like fields of drugs while Jamaican dubstep was playing in the background. And then he died, and then he had to do it all again. One more Jamaican dubstep played in the background, and it got so bad she was just like turning up the volume on her music. It's like, make this stop. Make it stop right now.
Oh, come on, it's only one little mission.
But the crowning moment was I actually saw the ending of that game and the final mission, and you're in a turret on a helicopter, and literally the main character is like oh yeah, wait, the Ride of the Valkyries is playing,
Yeah.
and then the main character says something like, use, oh yeah, I'm using the Force, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
And apparently that hit everyone around me so bad that my roommate paused the game, looked through the options, trying to find some way to silence it, then took the remote, muted the game, and continued playing throughout the whole mission without seeing it. Like, just a lot happier for the experience. Because apparently that was like the breaking point. Apparently, where like that was just like, that's it, I'm done. I'm not dealing any more of this game's nonsense.
Yeah,
But I guess most
yeah, go ahead.
of what I'm mostly just going off of what my roommate said, and that he said that it didn't seem like he had any problem with the gameplay, or like most of the other stuff. But it was more like he had problems with the atmosphere and the like story, because it seemed like he didn't like the main character. He didn't like this like stuff that like other people were telling him to do, especially like the fact that he's supposed to be this great and like mighty warrior, and that even like near the end of the game, every time you end up skinning an animal, he kind of just picks up and goes like, "Ew, gross," and like how every boss fight was basically just a quick time event that you could just lose in one hit, and several like a few other things. But I don't really know immediately off of my top of my head. But generally, he just kind of came out of it with the story was garbage.
Yeah, it is garbage.
To be fair, he only got Far Cry 3 because he had Blood Dragon, and he really enjoyed Blood Dragon. But
okay, yeah,
it's not that it's the game. So it's not that he hated the gameplay in general. It's just, or that he hates the franchise or like anything else about it. It's just that his story got on his very last nerve.
Yeah, I can see that. I can say that the main character is a bit whiny and irritating sometimes, but sometimes at the most appropriate places, he just says a one-liner that sounds so freaking cheesy that I can't help but smile.
I feel like that was the point, that he was supposed to be this like really pretentious white dude supposed to learn that he's not the biggest man, or like he's supposed to learn how harsh the world is. And stuff.
He does that, but I think the execution on it is horrible. But on the other hand, I just enjoy going around on 2 islands playing Rambo.
Yeah, I can see how that goes. I think there was a strategy he had where I think he I forgot if it. I know you can't put C4 on trucks. I think that was the problem. I think the thing was when reinforcements would come by, he would wait for the truck to come by, throw C4 at it, run away, and then blow it up in their face.
Oh, I have an. I play stealthy because I think it's more challenging to try to go into a place, map the whole area out, and then try to take everyone out without them noticing you.
They do have that for a reason.
Yeah, I just like the extra challenge it gives me, and I think it's cool. So I just walk around and sneak around. But if worst comes to worst, I have my magical button number 4. I only use in emergencies, and that brings out my big RPG.
Oh right.
It is the oh shit button.
Right. It's the oh shit button that makes everyone go oh shit.
Yeah, exactly. Me included. So, so that's what I think the game is funny for. And if number 4 is anything like number 3, I'm gonna love it. Just because I eat these kind of games like 80s action movies.
Right.
They are filled with testosterone sexism to some extent, I would say, and everything. But I see it just like it's made to be entertaining. It's not made to do any deeper analyzing into the deeper parts of the human mind.
there's something to be said for like something that's made to be simple, as long as or like something that doesn't really try too hard to be serious or something like the Expendables.
Yeah,
As long as you're not like, I mean, like as long as it's not mind-numbingly dumb, you
yeah,
can kind of you can be fine with a little bit of stupidity here and there because
yeah.
it's
Because the movie is because the Expendables is a movie about big burly guys shooting and blowing shit up.
you kind of like yeah, and it's with I can kind of appreciate something like that, both movie, video game, and like anything else wise.
Yeah, just be there to be entertaining. And the Far Cry 3 I find very entertaining because it's a bit more fair than Far Cry and Far Cry 2, which I also have.
I've heard about the stories of how the guys have super X-ray vision and can see you through the bushes in your very loud look, like red Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, the thing is, with Far Cry 1, it isn't an open world. The thing is, they can see you every. The only reason they explain it in game why they can see you is because you're incredibly screaming red shirt. They can see you through everything because of that shirt.
Even behind walls, no.
Yeah, I have had that happen when they are firing off RPGs.
Oh, just imagine how that is. Just like you're walking through like some sort of I don't know, like a build, like behind from a building wall. You can hear on the other side of it. It's like, oh, your shirt is so ugly. You on the other side of this wall. You change that shirt. God.
Yeah, and Far Cry 2 was a bit better. The thing was that it was a bit. How should I say this? It was a. What they did was, as soon as you have a sniper rifle or a silencer, you can fire off 3 shots before the AI know where you are, and then they don't drop you from their. They don't drop you. How far?
They never forget where you are.
Yeah, exactly. So they keep tracking you.
Just see, it kind of sounds like they just have this sort of problem with. They had this problem with AI for most
Yeah.
of it, but by the time they got to the Far Cry 3, it was like
Yeah, then they fixed it because now
they kind of got figured it out.
Yeah, so I even know they had been trying to mod Far Cry 2 to have the AI routine from Far Cry 3. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So that's so I'm so happy I managed to remember that because it actually spawned an interesting conversation.
Yes, and I can. Yeah. There is one thing. I guess there's one thing that's on my mind right now because I was looking through stuff like that last night.
Yeah.
Basically, it kind of started when I just wanted to watch. I was watching like a video of someone playing the Vanishing of Ethan Carter demo.
Okay.
And that eventually turned into watching the playthrough of that game in its entirety. But then that turned into a playthrough of Neverending Nightmare, which if you've never heard of that, it's like it was like a game funded on it's like a horror game funded on Kickstarter, inspired by like it was like it was like some art style from somebody, and it was like watching it was really just like creepy, disturbing, and all that other stuff because it's purely black and white and the art is like very specific, or like it's kind of different from what you're used to. And I don't know, I could only watch like 2 parts of that before like I said before, I can't handle horror very well, so that generally I can only watch like 2 parts before I was like, I can't keep watching this.
It's scary.
I've had enough. If I kept watching, I just kind of like, I don't know. I'd have to like look away after a while. Oh.
Yeah. I have the thing with horror games that I think it is part of a defense mechanism, but I start to crack jokes about it.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, so yeah, that's it's a bit sad because sometimes you come up with the most. I can come up with jokes I think is bad, but I crack them anyway just because then it takes some of the scary away.
I can say with, in my personal opinion, even though I haven't played the game, that Neverending Nightmare does seem like a enjoyable game, actually, because I guess it's that sort of mechanism that I have that kind of feels, it seems like it's that kind of game where even if it wasn't scary, you'd still have a fun time, you'd still enjoy yourself a bit, because it's not like, because it's not like it just hinges entirely on its. I mean, like, because the game and the scare factor kind of go in hand. But and in the end, felt what a little I saw. It seemed like it was well put together, personally. So, but I didn't watch any more of it. So mostly the story just seems really confusing to me, and I didn't like there were thumbnails on the right side of the screen that just kind of let me know that it wasn't going to get any better for me. So I cut out.
Okay, yeah. Well, besides that, I really don't have much gaming related to talk about. For some reason, I've been listening to the soundtrack of DuckTales Remastered.
Ah, well, if you're gonna have, well, yeah, at least you got something good there.
Yeah, but it's good music. It's just that I wanted to see if I could play along with some of them on my guitar, and some songs worked, some songs I did horribly too.
Yeah, well, to be fair, this isn't. They're trying to manipulate as much as they can the NES sound font music into like actual instruments,
Yeah, fuck
and not.
I can put it this way: fuck the arpeggio on the moon theme.
I was thinking that's that song, but I think that was mostly because that's what everyone thinks of when they think
Yeah, and
of DuckTales.
I tried the Amazon's music too, and it's got a more groovy feeling about it. I could play that better,
Right.
but then again, I'm a rhythm guy. I'm not so used to moving my fingers that fast.
It takes a certain kind of like person to actually be able to do something like that.
I know I can do it. It's just that it isn't that hard as it tries to makes itself out to be. I'm just stupid.
Uh, I see. So
Yeah, and that's the interesting part, really, because sometimes music is just try to get your finger in the right place before the time runs out, and that's really hard sometimes, especially when you don't have much time to do it.
yeah, it can. I'm not really a music person, so I wouldn't know off the top of my head. I'm gonna take your word for that one.
So yeah, I think I've depleted my whole 2 weeks of my whole 2 weeks of game talk right now.
I guess it's time for that secret plan of yours.
Yeah,
Nudge, nudge.
I didn't actually think I was going to have to utilize the plan. But anyway, I prepared a couple of questions. And and it's kind of related. Some are maybe not as related as one might think, but yeah, let's do it anyway because we'll have like 25 more minutes to try to fill.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna let you off of the hook that easy. But so let's get it started then. We both enjoy to play games in our spare time. But do you actually have some other interest while another interest to pass the time than gaming?
I actually tend to write a bit. Um, Mostly just most of the time it tends to just kind of segue into my want to try and like on game design itself, but I tend to have a good interest in writing good like characters and stories around like some game mechanics. Like when I made the two Mafia games I made, like the two Mafia games I made on the forum were like they had, I mean, like, I took my time, like, writing out, like, a story around it, while it's kind of a strange difference between me and other people who generally just go, here's this town, there are things happening, now go out and do Mafia things. Well, I end up making this whole fantastic story thing around everything that's happening. It may sound kind of silly, but I kind of have that opinion where, like, a good story kind of separates a good game from a great game. So, in my opinion, I just want to like that's how I think about it. So I kind of have this fascination with making stories and fascinating characters, really.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, a good story can really sell a game.
Right.
And lots of other things too. I mean, any author could probably say that as long as they have a good story. Well, maybe not story, but interesting characters.
Yeah. To be fair, though, that's also a bad story is what separates a good game from an okay one.
Yeah,
so.
That's true.
Because it can get, because like I've said before, it can get on your very last nerve.
Yeah, but
don't put it's if you can do it, you should. But if you don't but if you really don't have any faith in your abilities, then it's better to just kind of just do what you think is enjoyable and leave and just let people have their own fun or something like that.
yeah, I can see the reasoning behind that. I could do. Myself, really, I haven't written much. For some time when I went to the gymnasium studying media, I had this. I used to write down jokes and sketch ideas, or not sketch ideas, skit ideas. Just because I found them entertaining, and I thought other people would find them entertaining. So I wrote in the school paper a bit of this, a bit of that, and I.
Right.
There's actually one thing I wrote I was a bit proud about because I managed to the writing teacher was impressed with the text I wrote. I think it was some thoughts about some thoughts about how the toilet is that one place in our modern society where we can relax and take a break from the rest of the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't have the text here, and it's over 7. I think it's almost 10 years since I wrote it, so I don't remember it by heart anymore.
I could have just basically stopped you and did like any number of toilet jokes, but I found that more of an interesting thought. more
Yeah.
than any.
Oh, believe me, I did some toilet jokes too. I think I used
Oh,
every
who?
I think I used every word in the Swedish dictionary to describe what a toilet was,
Who
or
hasn't done
the
toilet
word for
jokes?
toilet.
Right.
So it's toilet, porcelain throne, etc., etc.
So on and so forth.
Yeah. So yeah, the, that's pretty much my experience with writing, and I don't think I gotten any better at it.
Mm, you're probably better than most. You probably have a better humor than like people who like people who go like to like go like, man, this is getting hard to get words come out. Then the kind of person who, when you end up when if you work in retail and you scan something and it doesn't work, that person then goes, "It's free, right?" You haven't heard
No,
that joke like 5 billion times.
nah, I would try to do something else. Not you. So that means it's free? Nah, that's too easy. That's too easy. But when it comes to comedy, you really need to look at yourself to find out what is funny and what's not. Because
Yeah.
I have I have the perfect story from just today. I was helping a buddy of mine to get his snowmobile up on his trailer hitch, I would say, and we get the front part of the snowmobile up, and then we have to. I run back and gonna lift up the back end of it so it's easier to get it on there. And when I lift it up, I forgot that the hook at the back end of the snowmobile was pointing out a fair bit, so I whacked myself on on my balls.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it doesn't end there. So we get the snowmobile up there, and he's laughing because afterwards I'm just throwing myself on the ground in a less than dignified way, clutching myself, saying, "Oh dear God, the pain." So yeah, and then we're gonna jump into the car, and I smacked my hand so hard in the door at the top of the door frame, so I almost fell out from the car.
Oh, jeez, it's one of those days, isn't it? Where
Yeah,
everything, where you're basically just doing everything in the like, like you're doing like everything is going wrong.
dude, it's like
Trip,
that
fall,
slapstick.
hit
Really?
your hand in the door.
Yeah. No, that didn't happen, but uh, other kinds of stuff. I mean, I was setting up a mouse trap this morning because I found out I have a mouse, and the freaking trap snaps shut on my fingers.
Oh, uh,
See, I'm the master of just hurting myself in different ways.
mm,
So I
I
think
think it,
I think there comes a lot of the comedy. I mean, it isn't fun then, but now a couple of hours later, it is hilarious.
yeah, that's generally how it works.
Yeah,
It's not.
so the lot of my I think a lot of my humor just comes from me uh, pretty much hurting myself and observing others hurting themselves and find funny stuff to say.
Ooh, I hope you don't. I hope that's not your muse. I hope you're
No,
not like
no. I'm not gonna go out in my tool shed and walk myself on the hand with a hammer.
trying to find more material to do that.
Yeah, I haven't actually nailed my hand uh, with a wood spike just yet. But
Um, let's not. Let's hope that doesn't happen.
yeah, I hope so too. I hope so too. Yeah, but most of my creative outlet is usually music.
Right.
Yeah, which might not come as a surprise, as I actually have the mixer table and everything to actually record this in a decent way.
Right.
So yeah, that's really how I relaxes.
And I freely admit that I'm just someone who likes music and probably wouldn't be able to make anything good. To be honest, it'd probably just be a situation where it's just all like rock music and probably nothing else.
Yeah, I listen to everything, and I try to play everything too. I mean, I can just I have instruments I never thought I was going to give a shot to play, but I bought a banjo for one thing.
Oh,
Yeah, and I thought actually that was a funny thought because I never did expect when I start playing instruments that the first real Fender I was going to buy was a banjo.
well, a banjo is very it's close enough, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see what you're coming from with that, but you lose like 5 points on the cool scale just for admitting that your first real first
Real
quote.
guitar with banjo.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you even have a banjo. It's, to me, that always seems like something from the southern side of the United States. But well, that probably did have to come from somewhere. You just have to realize that half of the stuff the United States has ended up coming from Europe. So,
Yeah, I think I don't remember the correct history of the banjo, but if I remember it correctly, it spawned from Ireland or something.
I was gonna guess Germany, but you know,
Uh,
take a lot of stuff from Germany. So Ireland.
I don't claim it's true. It's just what I think is the it's the history of it. I
I wouldn't
just can't
doubt it.
remember. But yeah, that's another fun thing with the music and musical instruments. The kind of stereotype that is associated with them,
Hmm.
because I think it was in the print of the 1936 1936 we have the word book got printed every year, and in that copy it describes banjo as a form of slave guitar from South America. Oh, the
So,
South U.S.
slave guitar.
Yes.
Slave guitar. I
Yeah.
don't. Um. I can't respond.
It's an
Slave.
interesting description, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely a description there. Describes something.
It's there are some underlying currents there that I don't know if we should tap into in during this kind of talk show.
No, please don't. I don't even know if you're able to. I don't know if I could survive being able to.
Oh, this is horrible. Just see what my questions brought in. Quick change of subject. Uh,
Quick,
do you have any kind of food you make you're especially proud of?
make. I don't. I'm not much of a maker of food myself, but
You aren't?
uh, pers- uh personally, I just kind of stick to stuff that ends up being. You can just stick it in the microwave or the oven. I have like done small stuff for bigger meals like cook rice or
You boil the
boiled peas.
potatoes.
or I boil peas, or sometimes overboil peas and leave and leave like this strange M mark on the bottom of the pot, where it's basically just where all the peas got stuck and the rest of it turned black. I don't want to. I'm very forgetful. I'm just saying.
Ah, okay, yeah.
My sister's more of the chef than me, but that's mostly just because she spends the time looking up recipes, and she subscribed to a few cooking channels on YouTube, so she ends up getting some really good ideas, and ends up like creating really good like food.
Okay, yeah.
She also really loves her spices, so so even like when it comes to macaroni and cheese, it's like let's like first add more cheese to it, and then let's put in 4 different kinds of spices, and actually ends up really good. She's also like, you wouldn't think it, but having spaghetti and meatballs and putting like
it's been ages since I had pasta and meatballs.
What was it? It was like no, she like puts vegetables in it, and it actually ends up really making it something like really good. Actually, you would think that like you wouldn't want to mess with spaghetti and meatballs in that sort of way. Like adding vegetables, you'd get less people to eat it, but it actually ends up being something probably not it's something that manages to stand right next to it as something I enjoy just as much.
Yeah, you shouldn't really diss it if people want to try something new with them. I mean, I usually, when I'm alone, because I notice that people don't like spicy meatballs, I usually have some of my chili sauce and some chili powder on it, sprinkle it, and fry them. Just put the chili sauce in there and fry them in it. Just to give them a bit more kick, because I like spicy food.
Right. I think that's something. That's something I kind of inherited from my father, and an absolute like a much higher tolerance of spicy food than other people. I think our other roommates got used to it when we basically were much more attuned to that.
Ah, okay.
As a result.
Yeah.
But we basically try like several different things. Like we had usually we try like things like fish tacos, and we have like chickpeas. Like sometimes it's like with she generally knows what she's doing, and like I'll tell you one thing, I don't. So I appreciate that she's able to do such a thing.
Yeah, when I try to cook, it usually ends up well. I have I think you can call it a chicken stew, because I have a chicken breast, and I fry them, put them in what's the word for it? It's not a fryer. It is you boil water in them. I lost the word.
Pot?
Thank you. A big pot, and just pour some water and some, I think it's cream. Milk, but thicker.
Cream.
Yeah,
works.
thank you. That's and just let that boil while I pretty much just throw in what I have in the fridge at the moment.
Right.
And then I just let it simmer until it doesn't look like, until it doesn't look like I just threw everything I had in the fridge in it.
That just kind of reminds me of the one time we tried this like Asian kind of dish called I hope I'm getting this right. I hope it's called okonomiyaki, because if it's not, then Jen's going to chew me out over it later.
I know. I think I know what it is. What it is for kind of food, at least.
Technically, for those who don't know, and that's one I'm not getting this wrong. Okonomiyaki is basically just this. You take like just kind of. It's mostly just you just take a bunch of stuff and put it together, and then you cook it and like serve it. And we tried making that once, well, because when when it was just me and Jen having dinner together, she would try and experiment with a few things, and most of it usually hit. But for this case, it was like this is just kind of like I probably shouldn't make this the one time that Jen kind of like. Most of it was because we were using spoiled hot dogs in part of it, so we both got sick.
Oh, yeah. Be
But
careful with that.
it was good. It's just that we didn't have or we didn't cook it all the way. But it was fine. It's just that I think Jen got a little gun shy on that as a result. But most of the other stuff she ends up finding is like really good, like chicken curry, enchiladas. She actually tried a chicken enchiladas with green sauce.
Yeah.
Different kinds of pasta, different kind like messing with different like doing different things with like ground beef and like chicken breasts, like she really I mean, like it's good for everyone else because like I'm pretty sure she would be the only one that would really I mean like there's the like one of our she's probably the only one who really cares about cooking because one would generally not give anything and the other one would like we have 4 roommates, one's a friend, one's my sister, the realest roommate's my sister's boyfriend.
Yeah.
But like he's the only other one I think would be any good at cooking. It's not like I don't think I can cook. If I put my effort to it, I think I could actually make something that would be good.
Yeah.
But it's just that I don't feel I have enough expertise in that field to really think I could do anything more than simple stuff.
Okay,
Also,
yeah.
like I said before, I'm very forgetful, so I'm afraid of that one time where I'm just going to do that, and then I'm like distract myself for a moment, and then I'm going to sit in a chair for a while and not realize, well, something's burning down in the kitchen.
Yeah, the biggest problem I also have is that I'm a bit generous with the heat and let it go for a bit too long. So I pretty much end up with a bit. I usually end up with my dinner trying to defect over to the dark side, as I would like to describe it, because it looks and tastes like hell afterwards.
Come to the dark side. It is very crispy.
Yeah. Yeah. When you manage to get cheese crispy on a, you know that it had been in the oven a bit too long.
I think my problem is I tend to just follow the recipe a little too exactly. When it seems like a lot of the time, in order to get something just right, you tend to want to deviate a little bit, like either too early or too late, depending on how you like some things. Like sometimes you don't want to cook pasta exactly what it says because it'll be a little bit too. If you want your noodles to be a little softer, you need to leave it in there for a little longer.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by deviation.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue to have this train wreck all over the place. Do you have any special activity you like to do in the summer?
Summer? Not exactly. Stuff that I do in the summer, I would do in the winter. So really, I would just like there's running. There's I wouldn't. There's not really anything special. I suppose. I guess getting. I guess you would have to count like going to any sort of like pool would be counted as something in summer. For winter, it's just kind of like I guess we would just generally when it doesn't matter rain or shine, I end up just kind of walking around a bit or running.
Yeah.
It's since this neighborhood does have kind of like a circular, like you can basically just kind of run around and then come back to the house after a while. It's kind of important because I have a big dog, and
Yeah.
he ends up having a lot of pent up energy if you don't walk him.
Yeah.
So like it ends up being kind of bad because sometimes something will suddenly just set him off, and then suddenly he's just jumping all over the couches. It's kind of silly.
And I can imagine it being a big dog. It's less than desirable.
I'm used to small dogs most of my life, so the big dog came to me, or came to us, so
Ah, okay.
no one wanted him. So, or like when we tried to see if anyone owned him and could take him back, no one wanted him. So we kept him. He's all right. It's just that sometimes he just kind of goes a little. He just kind of goes a little off and doesn't really.
He's just a bit crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as a follow up there, I could probably say that swimming is something I like to do in the summer too, if it's really fucking hot. The thing is,
Uh,
in this summer's heat wave, I was I was actually having a bad fever, so I didn't really want to leave the house.
I would like to question if you actually even have a summer.
Well,
I know that sounds really bad.
no, we have summer.
There's a
Uh,
time where the snow isn't even partially on
yeah,
the ground.
technically we had summer this year. Last summer we didn't have a summer, because between 1st June to uh, August
First,
31st, we didn't have a the day temperature needs to go. The daily average temperature needs to go over 14 degrees Celsius. That didn't happen.
that didn't happen.
So we went from spring to autumn.
I'm
That
sorry
that
if I ended up
uh,
inadvertently of like making you feel bad about not having summer.
no.
Because I'm not really someone who should be acting like like summer. You really aren't. I'm not the person you should be talking to when it comes to summer because um I feel like I'm more of a winter person because when the summer hits in the south, it's hot and muggy and terrible
Okay, yeah. I'm a bit of both because I can
and covered
find.
in bugs.
Yeah, we have bugs here too. Lots of them, especially mosquitoes and horseflies.
You
Fuck the
can never
horseflies.
escape mosquitoes. You can never escape them.
I know.
You could go to the Antarctic. You'd probably find mosquitoes there.
Yeah, they are actually mosquitoes in Antarctic and in the
I wouldn't be
around Arctic
surprised.
circles.
I wouldn't be surprised if we ever meet aliens and show them mosquitoes, and they're like, "Fuck, they're here too." God damn it!
Yeah, let's jump to one last thing before we sign off because I think it could be fun to winter activities.
Um, there's not much in the way of winter activities in New Orleans, to be honest with you. It barely
Okay.
snows here, if at all.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
to be
I
fair, the main thing you do during the summer in New Orleans is get like snowballs, and the main thing you do in the wintertime during New Orleans is wear tons of like layers of clothing and try to hope and make sure your pipes don't burst.
You don't have much of insulation in your houses, I take.
I do. There are people that don't because there are some people who had to raise their houses like 13 feet off the ground.
Ah, yeah, yeah, I can see that would be a.
There's a tons of problems with that, but winter tends to come with this sort of like it's the same sort of thing that you tend to get when it comes to hurricane warnings. It's like winter's coming, make sure you get these things and do these things as well. Because it seems like we're not used to the cold; we're used to heat, and being very and stuff. So winter tends to come with warnings a lot of time. But
Yeah, that's what I think is funny because it's kind of the same thing here. Because I have one day every year when I just sit back and read the car accident reports from Stockholm. Because every year, without fail, half of Stockholm have forgot to put on that's the capital of Sweden, by the way, have forgotten to put on the winter tires. And people are just skidding around. It looks like this happy little ballet. Look at it go right into the concrete wall. Ooh, that's gonna hurt on the insurance. Should I have winter tires?
it's definitely I think that that's that doesn't matter where you come from.
Yeah,
People tend to always forget if that cars tend to skid if you go too fast.
yeah, and that's the only one thing I do every winter. But my main winter activity is actually snowmobiling. A lot of snowmobiling.
Right.
I wouldn't say I'm particularly skilled. I don't do it as those hotshots that go out and jump and do stuff, but I can move heavy shit from point A to point B up a mountainside if I have to.
Both ways.
I like to claim that the worse the conditions is for me as a driver of a snowmobile, the better I get. Even if I have to shovel my way a couple of 100 meters, I'm gonna get there.
Eventually.
Yeah. So that's my that's my main winter activity. I do small amounts of skiing. I do it mostly because to have some routine in it.
Right. If you have a mountain, you might as well just ski down it.
Yeah, and we have a pretty decent ski track too, but I have been one of the two persons in charge of keeping that up to quality. And when you have already driven around that thing 4 times, you don't like to take a fifth time on skis.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I can see that it would be some kind of winter activity too. Yeah. But anyway, I think we actually hit the time some time ago, but the the discussion was so interesting. I wanted to keep going.
Right.
So, anything you want to end with before I stop the recording?
Not really. I guess I just don't. Yeah. We already talked about basically everything.
Yeah, I
Or
know.
covered what's need to. Nothing really on my mind.
Yeah, I know. We had something about a Mother fan game.
Oh, well, that's what I thought you were going to talk about earlier when you
Yeah,
said.
I actually forgot about it until now.
Yeah, well, my PC game. Well, I probably could plan to do that event probably tomorrow because today I'm going to go outside and try and beat Psychonauts. But eventually, from what I've seen, it seems. Well, I don't really know what to think about it. RPG Maker games can vary in quality, but but knowing like the people that have worked on it, I think that I have high hopes for it. I would hope that it's a good game.
It looks interesting, and if I found if I find some time, I'm gonna sit down and play it.
Check back in 2 weeks. We will have actually played the game and have our opinions on it.
Yes, because I actually this whole game I missed it. It just went straight over my head, and I only heard about it like earlier this week.
It came out 2 days ago. I wouldn't be even if we did play a bit of it. I think we'd have have less than just first impressions.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I think we're done here, so I'm gonna end the recording. So, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.